Hey guys, it's September 8th, 2021. I'm Kimberly from Fat Quarter Shop. We have a brand new cross stitch pattern. We also have two new Lori Holt cross stitch patterns, and we have Sunflower September and lots of new items. So I'm going to show you a lot of things that are new, and I hope there's something that appeals to your sense of style. I'm also going to show you all the stitching I've been doing and kind of talk about progress. I have a couple of tips on some of the things I'm stitching, so we'll kind of just jump right in. I want to first let you know thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate all of your support. We're going to jump in with a brand new pattern that we released yesterday. It's called Foxtastic. So if you look here, we came out at the beginning of 2021 with a Patchwork Seasons, and it was a heart, and we decided to go ahead and make a series out of it. So each season we do something completely different. The sizes change, the fabric changes, you know, the thread might also change. So it's just something that stands alone, but it's a way to stitch where you're using half square triangles so it looks similar to a quilt. And this one is called Foxtastic, and I love it. I think it is so cute. It is about 5 by 7, 5 by 8, something like that. So it's pretty big. We are, like we are with all of the Patchwork Seasons, we offer a DMC thread pack and an NPI thread pack. And I am going to be stitching this as part of Stitch-Tober, which will be next month in October. And I'll talk more about Stitch-Tober later in the month because I have tons of plans for it. I'm going to stitch on 14 count Venetian stone, which is what the sample is made on. Now on this pattern, this is a PDF pattern. Since all of my Patchwork Seasons are PDF only, we are listing everything about the finishing. And I'm going to show it to you. Now, Priscilla Blaine of Stitching with the Housewives finished this. And of course, go to her blog for any inspiration, because on her blog, she's going to give a lot of information on how she finished it in addition to what we list on the pattern. So she went ahead and used Priscilla's Pretty Plaids here. She used the Pumpkin Large Vintage Trim by Lori Holt. She used this piece that is from Hobby Lobby and some accents. And I think it's so cute that this rings. I'll get it to ring. So what I am going to do is, this one was stitched by Deborah, and she stitched it with exactly the same thread and the same fabric that I'm going to stitch it with, but I'm going to put it as part of Stitch-Tober. And I think his little, like it's like a little crease in his forehead. It's so cute. So, and we have, I don't know if you've noticed, but on all of these Patchwork Seasons, we've been going with 8 colors just to give a variety. So we are working on 2022, so that will give you something to look forward to. I decided on this one that I'm going to start September 29th, since that will be when Sunflower September is wrapping up. And one thing that I decided to do, I went through it yesterday, is it says 108 height. So there's 108, I guess, rows. So I'm doing this over 6 different weeks. So if I take 108 divided by 6, that gives me 18. So I'm going to literally stitch from the, let's see, it's sideways, from the top to the bottom. And I'm going to do 18 rows, 18 rows, 18 rows. And so it'll be kind of cool to see it form. Now, of course, I always cheat a little bit and get a little bit ahead, but 18 rows is totally doable. Now, I did stretch this one out a little bit longer than the last couple of Patchwork Seasons, and the reason I did that is it's a lot of, I guess it's called full coverage. So because it's full coverage, it takes more time, and I don't want to feel rushed. So I'm going to do this over 6 weeks. You'll see the first part September 29th, and then you will, throughout Stitch-Tober, you will see this. And of course, Priscilla finished this for us. I did want to let you know also that our Stitch Quarterly, this is all I can show you, shipped to all of our members last week if your credit card processed. So Stitch Quarterly comes out once a quarter. It is geared towards beginner cross stitchers, and we sell the pattern after everyone in the club has gotten theirs. And if we have any kits left over, they will go online tomorrow. We will have some kits left over on this. It won't be many, but I did want to give just a big shout out and a big thank you to everyone who put really nice comments on our social media about loving the design. I will be stitching this as part of Stitchtober also, so that I can share the fun. I am going to stitch it exactly as it came packaged because I'm a member of the Stitch Quarterly, so I'm just going to take what was in my package that came in my club and just stitch it with all of you guys next month. And there's going to be some fun little floss keepers, floss biddies that go with it. So I'll get to show those to you a little bit later in the month. So let me know if y'all have any questions or anything about those two designs before we move on to Lori Holt's. We did get a question on where the acorn bell came from. So with Priscilla, she buys things at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, and Joann's, and Walmart. So at one of those stores. Of course, you can always comment on one of their videos and ask. I know the wood piece is from Hobby Lobby. These might be in the little section of Michael's that has the little tiny bins, and you kind of have to dig for them. Donna is asking, what are the tubes with the foam around the center? They straighten the floss. I'm not sure what those are or how they work. Okay, so those are two sticks that you buy. They're plastic. You wrap the thread on one and then the other, and then you pull, and it's supposed to straighten your thread. So we carried them because we had a customer request. We tried them out, and I don't think it's something we would use, and I even talked to Cheryl about it since she's much more of an expert, and we kind of felt like it was something that, you know, was kind of novelty, but we really didn't feel like we needed to use it. So I will now show you some brand new Lori Holt stuff. First, I'm going to start by showing you the pieces, and then I'm going to show you the pattern. And this one, I'm sure you guys are going to have a ton of questions on. So on this one, it is a paper pattern. It is 9 pages. So it's a tiny bit more expensive because these are all cardstock 9 pages. In this pattern set, you get the pattern to make this. It finishes pretty big. So this is stitched on 25 count Lugana, and that one comes in a really big piece. We sell that piece as a 27 by 36 inch piece. And because we sell it in that big of a piece, it will fit on here. And that's why Lori had Prim made that big. So if you are wanting to stitch on 25 count, buy the 25 count Prim and try not to convert to something else, because if you do, you just have to be careful with the size of the piece you need, because you're going to need bigger than a 1/2 yard probably. So in the pattern, there are 4 pages to make this. So it's divided into 4 pages. So page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. In this pattern, she has it written for all the same barns, different windows. They're all the same design, but different threads. And then inside the barn, on the main pattern, is a star. The second pattern included is a silo barn. So this is like page 7. And this one is the silo barn and a pattern for a rooster, chicken, something like that. It probably lays eggs. I don't know. I'm not a farmer. Now the barn is also charted individually, which is the same barn as over here, but it has a goat in it. So now I'm going to explain, and she's also going to talk about this on her channel and her inspiration for it, and her channel is just called Lori Holt. But what this is meant to do is work with the stitch cards. So the stitch cards, we have all of her stitch cards in this beautiful box. If you go to set H, she specifically made the H for this. So when you make this, if you buy the Quilty Barn pattern, this is the pattern you get. You get a full pattern with stars. You get a silo barn with a rooster or chicken. Somebody can comment and tell me what it is. It probably goes cock-a-doodle-doo. And then this is a goat. Now what you can do is you can put the goat here. You can put the goat here. You can put the chicken here, because they're all 24 by 24. Now, there are 4 more animals, and they're all farm animals, and so she was designing set H at the same time as this. So you would have a total of 6 animals. So then you could do, you know, part animals, part stars, or we can just open the box. And let's see. You could put these: tractor, scarecrow, corn and tomatoes, a star. So you can really customize this to what will fit your house. Now what I'm going to do, which is going to be a ton of fun, I cannot wait, is I'm going to do for Stitchtober, this piece is way too big. I don't think I could accomplish that. So I'm going to do each of these pieces during Stitchtober, and so is Lori. But I'm going to stitch 1 silo barn and 1 quilty barn. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thread pack, which is the Quilty Barn DMC thread pack. Now this thread pack is for the full piece. If you're not going to make the full piece, you don't need this many browns and this many reds. You could just buy individually if you're just going to make a small one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use all of the colors in this thread pack, and we are going to have a quilting event at the same time. Now that information has not been released yet. The cross stitch pattern actually came first this time, but I made a quilt, and I'm going to match the thread to the quilt with Lori's help, and I'm going to have 2 barns. They're not going to be red. They're probably going to be aqua or pink, and I'm going to obviously not put animals in mine because the only animal at my house is a dog. So I'll probably do stars, I'll probably change the colors, and that's what's great about this channel is you get to see the original design, which was stitched by Cheryl on 25 count prim, exactly as the pattern is shown. And then you're going to get to see Lori's version, which she'll probably stitch on a higher count, like a 36, 40, 32. She'll probably stitch on a count from her stash. And she will probably use some of these colors, but she'll probably change something just so there's something different to watch. And what I'm going to do as part of Stitchtober is I'm going to stitch it in 4 parts. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that will be 8 of my days during Stitchtober. Now on our pattern, we do list that this is framed by Craft Center of Fine Stitchery in Salt Lake City. So Lori got this framed, and this is like a barn wood, and then this wood right here is like an inset. It's a little bit separate, so this is it's 2 different woods somehow. And then these individual pieces Lori finished. She used her cottage Riley Blake vintage trim in the cottage color, and then she has these 2 frames that she got at Hobby Lobby, and she painted them with her picket fence frame, her picket fence paint. Now the item number for this item, which it does stand up, is on the pattern. I'm not going to read item numbers just because it gets too confusing, but so this is kind of the Stitch-Tober. And I want to talk a little bit more about the thread pack and the pattern to try to clear up if you have any questions. So this one again is for the full set, and it is 20 different colors in the pattern. They're all DMC, and this is 35 skeins so that you have enough of the reds and the browns. And this is for 25 count. So if you stitched on like a different 14 count, you might need more skeins. And here, I just kind of want to show you. So of course, this is the same thing you're seeing on the table. On the second page, we list all of the colors and we list the different counts. Now, I would not recommend stitching this on 10 count, this big one. It's gonna be too big. So we list 25, 14, 32, and 36 counts, what size it will be. It's 207 stitches by 207 stitches, so that's gigantic. I figured that anything that is over 100 stitches, I consider that kind of big. We give you how many strands of thread and cross stitch instructions, and then here we talk about the stitch cart set H, which has these different animals, but remember, all of her stitch cards will fit in there, and you can change the colors, which is what I'm going to do. And then I want you to see how big we made the stitches pretty big, so it's going to be easy for you to read. It's full color, so 4 pages for the top, and then this page is for one of the barns, the next page is for another barn, and the back is kind of a summary of all of it. So very detailed instructions, and you know, all the information of who framed everything. So, and I'm going to leave this on the table so that if we get any questions, I can answer them. I did want to pop up an image of the needle minder that's going to go with this. It is arriving later this week or next week, and it is so cute. We didn't have a prototype. Sometimes we get like samples or prototypes, and on this one we didn't get one, but I cannot wait to see it and add this needle minder to my collection. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have on this or anything else, because I know this is a lot. This was definitely like something we worked on for over a year. So we put a lot of time and love into this to make it very interchangeable and very mix and match for you, because that's what Lori likes to provide to you guys. Troy said that he loves the barns. They look a little pink. What is the DMC red color? It is, I guarantee, 347. 347 is the dark red, and 3328 is the light red. Sorry. So this is 347 and this is 3328. It's not pink to me. It's definitely red. I think it is pretty accurate. I just think that there's just a lot of red. Of course, you can change any of the colors. And we do list the thread colors on our site. Yvonne is asking if the thread pack is enough for the big and the small pieces. I would say no, the thread pack is enough for just the big. If you want, because that's what Cheryl, she tracked her thread on this one. Now, if you wanted to add this, what I would recommend if you're going to make all 3 is buy 1 thread pack, start here, see what you have left over. I would think you would need more red, both of the reds and the dark brown, unless you saved every little piece of extra that you have. Would the barns work with 14 count, and what would be a good color of Ada? Yes, I'm going to actually stitch mine on 14 count Ada, and I decided yesterday what I'm going to stitch on, and I think I picked 14 count beautiful oatmeal. So I picked 14 count oatmeal, and it is the Lori Holt oatmeal, and it's a little bit darker, and that's what I'm going to be using. Now that piece for the large is not going to be big enough, but I'm going to be doing 1 silo and 1 barn, and we're going to do something fun with Lori where she helps me pick. We're going to change for mine the barn colors and the inside. And it'll be fun. We're just going to have fun kind of picking it together as friends. Okay, this is a great question, Dawn. She's asking if I can hold up the big one so we can see how big it is. And that's a great, I'm glad you asked that, because it's so, you know what I think when I first saw it, when Denise brought it in my office, is I thought, this is like a masterpiece. It would be so great if you had, you know, like some people have like a fireplace and then they put stuff above it and they don't want like a TV on top of their fireplace. They put a clock there or something. This would look so good on top of a fireplace. So it's very big. Very, very big. I mean, I guess we could measure it off camera and see like left to right all the way what size it is with the frame. And then this is the back. We haven't put the library card on it yet, but we will. So let's see how big it comes out. 21 inches. So pretty big, but this could really be a statement piece. And especially if you are somebody who decorates like with farmhouse or, you know, that kind of style, it would look really great. And she, you know, she took a lot of time to take what Lori does that I don't know that everybody thinks about the whole process that she does, but she really takes into account every single color. And then every color on the little cornerstones to make sure that the color placement is very consistent throughout and not too heavy or too light in one spot. So when you're looking at her piece, like sometimes when you look at a piece, whether it's artwork or a quilt or cross stitch, it doesn't have to be crafty, but sometimes if you look at something, you'll notice your eye goes one direction to one thing. And that's one thing that Lori really works on, is to make sure that all of her designs are very, I guess, fluid, and you don't have to look at just one spot. How long did it take her to stitch the barns? It took her a long time. So it took Cheryl probably 2 months. I mean, and that's like probably 40 hours a week. I mean, she really worked a long time on this. And I did want to say that, one of the reasons we haven't been showing a segment for Cheryl's pieces is because she's been stitching this for so long. So hopefully we'll free up some of her time so that we can show some of the pieces that she is doing. Cheryl would like to know how big the needle minder is, and it is 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, so it's a smaller one. So Lori does some small and some large, and her larger ones are meant for scissors, and her smaller ones are meant for needles. And on this piece right here, you can see that these are stitched over 2. So we can zoom in a little bit, but Cheryl stitched this over 2. I guess if you stitch this over 1, it'd be half the size, but I can't even imagine seeing those holes. I missed getting Lori's set. Jay, will you get more in? Jay is not here yet. Jay is arriving next Monday or Tuesday, or next week. Okay, so it's a rooster. I guess I should have known because it has red on this head. Does the Quilty barn fit into a standard size frame? No. So this is huge. I don't think there's a frame this big at Hobby Lobby. Now these, she made these where these can just fit on a wood piece and all the information is in the pattern. How often do I change my needle? I change it when it bends. So when it bends, what happens is when I start to do the stitch in hand, and if you watch my video from yesterday called Stitchy Talk, you will see that. But when my needle bends and I am doing the needle the way that I do it, when it bends, my needle tends to go in the wrong hole because it's bent. So that's how I will notice, and I'll throw it out. But I sometimes will keep a needle for 3 projects. Sometimes I'll bend it in the first project. It really depends on my stress level. So if I'm super stressed out, I'm going to go through more needles than not. Funny story is I decided this weekend that I was gonna like super clean the house, and so we have a Roomba, and I was like running the Roomba. I don't know how you say it. My kids make fun of me for the way I say it, but anyway, I was running it in my room, and that thing was making me mad. But anyway, that Roomba was going, and I was like I took my chair and pulled all the stuff, like the cushions out, and I was like using a handheld thing, because we do that from time to time, like go through all the furniture and like vacuum all the stuff, because my kids put candy in the couches. It's disgusting. So I found 6 needles, but I was like, oh, I found 6 needles. So yeah, I'm really bad about that. And then the Roomba found a needle too. It was like stuck to the Roomba. That was funny. You knocked Stitch Quarterly out of the park. Well, thank you. Will the green bag be for sale separately? Yes, we're going to show that in a second. And how much 14 count Aida would you need? So on the 14 count, if you're going to make the big piece, it finishes at 15 by 15. So you would need 21 by 21 if you're given a 3-inch border all the way around. And all the information is on the back of the pattern. We give a lot of information on here. So everything you need will be on here, including our finishing that Lori did. The finishing, she took it to the framer and picked everything. So, and I want to give a huge thank you to Valeria Bauer for the super chat. She's always here every time. I don't know, if she wasn't here, I would not know what to do. So, so that is the first item from Lori, and we're going to move to the second item. And we talked about this one a little bit last week, and we have finalized our dates so we can talk a little bit more about it. So this is called So Happy. September is National Sewing Month, so we had decided with Lori to do a sew along with a companion quilt and a cross stitch piece. So this is the cross stitch piece. Teresa made this. Cheryl made this, and all the information on the fabric that was used and the rickrack is on the back of the cross stitch pattern. And we have a pop-up of dates now, and so we're going to start where the top left, the star, is week 1. So if you get everything you need for it now, you can be ready. So basically what we have is a pattern and fabric. So this is the pattern. It's a paper pattern. It will be available as PDF in 6 months. The sample was stitched on 25 count shadow, and I'm gonna stitch mine on pale gray gingham. And I've already carded all my floss and put it on the brand new floss flowers from Lori. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's going to be my 14 count Aida. But we thought it would be really fun to show you today, since, you know, last week we showed you the piece, but we wanted to show you the quilt. And so sometimes when we're working with Lori, sometimes she starts with a quilt idea. Sometimes she starts with a cross stitch idea. You know, it's all kind of works out. Whether she starts with a cross stitch or a quilt, she's trying to incorporate both, and I'm going to make both. So I'm going to show you the quilt, and I think on this one she started with the quilt. So this is actually what Teresa made, which is the quilt. And Cheryl added the buttons after it was quilted. So if you're a quilter, we're going to have a lot more information on this on our quilting channel. So we would love for you to subscribe to our quilting channel, which is just Fat Quarter Shop on YouTube, where this is Fat Quarter Shop FlossTube. And this quilt along is based on the spelling bee book. So one thing that Lori does over and over and over is she reuses her books. So when you buy a Lori Holt book, you're not going to use it once, you're going to use it throughout time. So this one, I can tell you what year this was. This was 2017. So this is 4 years ago. So basically all of these blocks, the star, the letters, and the sewing machine are in this book. So you do need this book. And then we are going to provide a free setting to set everything into this quilt. And I wanted to show you, she did add rickrack. So we do have the quilt kits live, I believe. And we do not have the backing set live. And the reason why, this backing is just a different backing that we use so that we could get the quilt done. The backing that Lori picked is not ready because it's 108-inch wide, which is made in a different country. So we're not sure when that backing will be available. And this kit is made with the Stitch collection, which just released. And we do have plans for a lot of things with the Stitch collection. And so you can see she started with the fabric, and we, made the she made it very matchy. And I'm excited for this, and I'm going to hopefully sew all of my letters, my star, and my sewing machine this weekend, just so I can get a little bit ahead. So I'm excited about that. And Dana Gonzalez finished the cross stitch model, and Teresa made the quilt. Molly would like to know when we will be getting the floss back in stock. So for So Happy, we sold out, and I have all of it reordered. It should be a week or two on that one. Holly Martin would like to know when the Chelsea's checks and Priscilla's plaid half-yard bundles will be back in stock. It will be 1 to 2 weeks. So now we're going to move to Sunflower September. So with Sunflower September, it is just an event that I came up with to celebrate some of Priscilla and Chelsea's brand new charts that I loved. So here this week, and I'm going to pop up real quick my calendar so you can kind of see my thought process. So what I try to do is I try to pick what I want to make, and then decide what's a reasonable amount to stitch each day. So I can give myself, 1 to 2 hours during the weekday, but then Saturday and Sunday, maybe 4 or 5 hours. And I try to spread out every pattern within a certain amount of days so that I do not overwhelm myself. So for the first week, and this is a free that's a free calendar that you can download at Fat Quarter Shop. If you just search 2021 calendar, you can print September out. So this is the calendar creates August. I have finished July, but now I have moved to August. So I made this one. It took me about 15 hours, I think. And the way that I made this one is I started at the bottom. So I kind of started here, completed this, then I went up here, and then I stitched this, and then I went up here, and then I stitched this, and then I stitched the house. I was a little bit nervous because I thought, well, if I get up here and this one doesn't match up where it's supposed to be, then I'm off somewhere. But I was pretty careful, and luckily didn't have any mistakes. So this one I love. I can't wait to have Priscilla finish it. She's going to finish it on this. I already have the wood piece. So if you watch her video, her and Chelsea talk about you put the magnets on the back of your piece and you put the washer on the wood piece, and I'll be able to switch it out. So I got this done at the beginning of last week, and then the last couple of days I got this done. And this is the companion piece that goes down here. Now see, my needle's still here, so I'll just take that off and move it to another project that I'm doing. And some of these pieces we cut pretty big because we just started with one big piece and just kind of cut it into like little segments. So they're a little bit bigger than they need to be. And you'll see as I go, some of them are like serged on the edge or zigzag stitched on the edge, and then there's a couple that aren't. So that's what I got done for Sunflower September. Now today I'm going to start working on Blessed, which is actually a free pattern that Priscilla released on her blog last year with Chelsea. So you can find that free pattern. And then next week I will have probably 2 or 3 finishes, and I'll keep all of them and send them all to Priscilla at one time, so that at the end we can have kind of a summary of Sunflower September. And this one's really fun. I don't have anything to, like, I'm going to decorate my house for fall now, and everyone in my house is like, it's way too early. So having something like this is a great transition decoration between like summer and actual like pumpkins. And this is our Autumn Beauties bag and the needle minder. And let's see. Oh, and then I have the line keepers also. And they're going to match something else that we're going to be releasing for Stitch-Tober. The next item we also talked about is called All the Trimmings. We talked about it last week. Now this is completely free. So if you're looking for something to do that you don't want to put a ton of money into or a ton of time, because it's very beginner friendly. Our Christmas in July, now I know it's September, but we're just going to pretend it's Christmas in September. Everything was a little bit delayed. It's a free series, and it's a 5-part series. The first part released yesterday. So this is the first row. Now what I want you to think about when you're making this, and it is in the pattern, it's a free pattern so I can show it to you. When you're starting this row, you really need to count down these 11 stitches so that you leave enough room at the top for, I can tell you that part 5 is kind of a border here, and a border, it's, you know, a simple border type design, but you just want to make sure you don't start this all the way in the top left, or when you get to part 5 you won't have enough room for that border. And this is very beginner friendly. We're stitching this on 14 count chalkboard black. And so again, the pattern is completely free, and with our free patterns, we leave those on our website. And we are offering a Weeks Dye Works thread pack and a DMC thread pack. I'm going to actually show you the thread next to each other so you can decide which one you like better. This time, sometimes when we pick threads, they come out very similar, and sometimes when we pick them, it's hard to match. This one, I believe, is pretty similar. And it's reading a little bit orange on the screen, but that's okay. So I'll do this. And this will help you decide which color you might like best. So there's the red. I am stitching mine, and I'll show you mine. I'm stitching mine with Weeks Dye Works. And it's really fun. Maybe one of my funnest things is to see, you know, how close we can match these. Now, when we're picking threads, one thing you want to keep in mind is they're not going to match 100% because they're not the same product. But also we have to not only make sure they match similarly, but within each thread they match together. So it's more important when we do this that all of our DMCs look good together and all of our Weeks Dye Works look good together, rather than just everything matching, if that makes sense. White is actually one of the hardest colors to pick because I can never remember which one is the brightest color, and sometimes the white unbelievably will throw things off. So like I said, when we're done, we have to make sure all of the Weeks Dye Works look good together and all of the DMC look good together. So picking threads is a lot of fun. We do put a lot of love and time into it. And mine is right here. And so I have put my thread on the Christmas Floss Biddies. And I'm just using a design board. So here's mine, and so you can see I left quite a bit of room up here. What I really enjoy about this one is when you see the final design, I really, really love it. And it's so simple. And so I love that something so simple with no back stitches, no specialty stitches can be quick to make and fun. And I know we've had a lot questions on the black for people who don't want to stitch on black. You know, we said that another color that would match would be Vintage Country Mocha, but honestly, I don't think it's like the best. I think black is the way to go. So I have everything in a Dot Goose bag, and I did want to let you know that these bags came back in stock. So these are called Mad for Plaid bags. They're mesh, and you can actually stitch on them. So you can cross stitch on them. So this is the berry colorway, the olive colorway, and the charcoal colorway. And then this is all the Trimmings enamel needle minder, which I think I'm using in my bag. I think I have it on my, so those came back in stock, which is really awesome. Trisha would like to know, how many patterns do I have kitted up at one time? I know you think ahead. Are your October stitches already kitted? If you need the same color, do you split a skein or put in both? So I actually counted yesterday, and I had, I think, 16 items kitted up. So I actually have already kitted up all of the Stitch-Tober items. And as an item comes in and I've decided if I'm going to make it, I kit it up right then. And I do keep, I just buy for each pattern, and I don't really like split skeins or do anything like that. It's just if I'm done and I have extra skeins, I just keep them and then use those next time I need that color. Because I tend to have, I keep everything in these waste baskets, I guess laundry baskets. And so I have a laundry basket that has what I'm currently working on and a laundry basket of future items. And so if I have a color that's in one waste basket, and then I forget the other one at work, because I leave some at work and some at home, I don't want to have to worry about if the thread is in the other bag, if that makes sense. And some nights, like last night, I left work at 8:15 and I just took one bag home because I'm just thought, well, if I have time tonight, I'll just work on it for like 10 minutes. Or if I get to dance early, I'll just work on it for 10 minutes. So I do try to have in each bag the skeins needed, just so that I'm not somewhere stuck where I need it. Faye is asking if I could only get one brand of fabric the rest of your life, what brand would I choose? So if you're asking about cross stitch fabric, I would pick Witchell. And my second pick would be Fabric Flare, because I use so much chalkboard black. So I would pick those. I also like the feel of those because I like my fabric to be really stiff. How big did I cut my fabric for all the trimmings? So on that, what you'll do is take your all the trimmings pattern, and I'm going to show you, and I've shown this in the beginner series. You look at your finished size, 6 5/8 plus 8 5/8. If you want a 3-inch border on all sides, that would be 12 5/8 and 14 5/8. So you just add 6 to each number, or if you want just 4 inches all the way around, it would be 10 5/8 by 12 5/8. So you just, and one thing you can do is take a piece of paper, draw it out, and add your notes, and then double check yourself. Will I have oatmeal Aida in stock when we can order a piece big enough for the Lori Holt barn pattern? So we can look to see if maybe we can order a bolt of that and cut a yard piece. So we'll look into that. It will depend on if there is a bolt available in that color. So we can look into it, and I can add that to the follow-up section to next week, and we'll just see if we can get it. But the piece that comes pre-cut is not big enough. Will Cafe Mocha Country French work for Quilty Barn? Yes, it will work. That fabric is a softer fabric though, so you have to just be comfortable with working with a softer fabric rather than a stiff fabric. So now I'm going to move on to all of the other things I worked on this week. So I got a lot of stuff done, lots of fun. So this one is the Granita, and this is our model that was stitched on 25 count Lugana in cloud and blue NPI threads. This pattern is by Fat Quarter Shop, so I'm going to show you. On the back, we give you 3 colorways, blue, red, and gray. But like I said earlier, I like to show you stuff that is different. So I took the pinks from the very first NPI club and picked 4 of the pinks because you need 4 colors, and I stitched. And I'm going to give you a couple of tips on this pattern. So we're going to zoom way in, and I'll kind of talk about kind of my plan. We'll pop up the dates real quick just so you can see, but we kind of divided it into 9, and the reason why, now it obviously would have made more sense to divide it into 4, but that is just so much stitching that I felt it was unreasonable to expect a customer or me to be able to stitch that. So we divided it into 9. And the way I decided to tackle this is I first did just this dark pink, and then I did the medium pink here, and then I did each of these. Now technically I really only had to do that right there, but what's the point of doing just half a circle? So it was really easy to do this, this, and this at the same time, because once you do this, you kind of have a little bit of muscle memory that you can use to create the other 2. And then I just added these, and then I added this little section all at once, this section all at once, this section, and then this section. So I'm taking it in chunks, and the reason I'm doing that is if I, for example, if I have these 3 in, and then I add this, and it doesn't match, then I can fix this little section. I feel like on something that has so much coverage like this, if you stitch, now if you're an experienced stitcher, go for it. But if you stitch all the way across, all the way down, all the way across, all the way down, and you don't join up, you're going to have a lot of work stitching and pulling out your stitches. So I prefer to stay within an area. Now that's just my personal preference. A lot of YouTubers that I watch are very experienced, and they do the whole border first. I don't trust myself to do that. So this is the way I do it. I was a little bit worried about this light pink, but I think after I got all of this in, I love it, and I really love this fabric with it and this thread. The one thing about stitching this, because I stitched a lot of stuff this weekend, especially since it was Labor Day, is working with the NPI. It just does not knot for me. So I was able to do this, and I got 1 knot the entire time, which saves me so much time because I feel like I get knots all the time, and I'm constantly taking knots out. So this was actually really a joy to stitch on, and just kind of taking it into little sections is the way that I would attempt this. And this is probably my favorite thing I worked on all week. The next thing I worked on is Stitch-O-Graphy, and that is a PDF pattern. And this is so cute. I love this. I'm not sure how I'm going to stitch this. I think we're going to try to find a hoop that's big enough to finish it in. We haven't found one yet, but this pattern comes with the DMC thread pack. So this is a PDF pattern. I'll show you the front of it. I have to find the front. And it's a really low priced, very reasonably priced pattern. And this I'm using on the same fabric. And if you watched, okay, so we'll pop up the dates real quick. Now these dates are just something that I follow, and a lot of you guys took this pattern and finished it. I mean, I think somebody finished it in like 2 days. So it's amazing to see when people get our patterns and really love them and just can't stop making them. So week 4 is what was last week, which was right here. And then, so that was week 4. And then this is week 5. Now, yesterday we did a Stitchy Talk episode on this channel, which is Fat Quarter Shop FlossTube, and we talked about how to stitch in hand. And the reason we did that is just so that people could see how I move from one end to the other. And so you can watch that. But all I have left is to finish this word right here. I think it's repeat. Let's see what it says. Repeat. And then I will probably, before next week, because I got ahead, is I'm going to go ahead and finish the repeat word. I'm going to do this whole blue border and the 6-strand floss. Now the reason why is if you look at this pop-up of dates again, for week 6, we put that whole bottom section in, which is really like almost too much to do in a week. So because I'm ahead, I will go ahead and work on this. I'll probably give it 2 to 3 hours, and I'm gonna do this. I might do this, this, and this, so that I can feel like I'm ahead. And it's hard on patterns to evenly distribute something because we don't want to like do an exact number of stitches. We don't want to divide up a word. So this one's going to be fun, and I kind of have a plan on finishing this into something fun. The next item that I worked on is Stationery Addict, and this one I'm going to finish this week, which is going to be so exciting. So, and I'm going to tell y'all one thing that I thought of, and y'all are going to like laugh at me, but, and this is a dot dot goose bag. So I have not enjoyed making this. I shouldn't say that, but I try to be as honest with you guys as I can. So I was working on this. Oh, we went to get my boy's shoes. It's difficult to buy 3 boys' shoes when one wears an adult size and the other 2 wear a kid size. And go to 3 stores. We went to 3 stores, 3 kids, and we found 2 pair of shoes. So we kind of didn't do so great on that. But I was stitching this in the car on the way to that, which made me think of that. So when I got in the car, this is how it looked. And I was like, well, ignore that. And I was like, you know what? I should just leave it just like this. And I thought, no, on FlossTube, they're going to tell me I need to finish. So I went ahead and finished it. Now, all I have left is a stapler, tape, a ruler, and a notebook. That'll probably take me 4 hours. That's quite intense stitching right there, that big block. So out of all the things I need to work on for next week, because this one will probably take me the most amount of time, I am probably going to tackle this one first, because getting something big out of the way will kind of help me a little bit. Can I see the Granita that I stitched and the back of it real quick? And we have a thread pack for this, and it's a conversion of what I'm using. So I'm using this conversion. So my thread is a little bit different, and I'm using 14 count pale gray gingham. And we had a question on this one that I wanted to answer. Do I carry over to the next pink square, or do you start with the new floss? So when I just started in the top and I went all the way down, then I came back over here. So I travel from I don't think I traveled from here to here, but I mean, this light, you can see I traveled a lot. I wouldn't travel from, I would leave these big spaces empty. But you can see I just try to travel where you don't see my thread in the back. So hopefully that answers your question. Good morning. Do you have any tips on stitching with dark fabric? I'm trying to stitch all the trimmings and cannot see the holes. Okay, so with that, what I would do is put a white pillow in your lap because the reflection of the white on the black will let you see your holes. That would be my biggest suggestion. The funny thing is, I can see black much easier than I can see white. So if I am going to be stitching in the car, waiting for one of my kids, I will always take black because for some reason I can see black easier. So I think it's kind of interesting when we get this question because for me it's kind of the reverse. Mari is asking, how do I plan on finishing the blessed piece? I stitched it last fall, but a brown fabric around it, and there it sits. Okay, so I'm gonna send it to Priscilla. So we'll see how Priscilla finishes it. So however Priscilla finishes it is how it'll be finished. Brenda said her daughter is left-handed, and I'm having her start Cross Stitch University. Should she start on the right and stitch left? No, I would just do it like normal. And now we have a fun little segment where we're going to show you some of the items we showed you a year ago, but now they're fully finished. Now Terri made all of these pieces, and I'm going to give you as much detail as I can on all of these. So the first item that she did, and so we showed you these unfinished. So I'm going to show you 3 pillows. They're all 3 from the Farmhouse Christmas series by Little House Needleworks. She stitched all of these on 25 count prim, and she used DMC threads. I think she probably used the called for. I'm not sure what she did. So these she had turned into pillows, and she had Carolina Stitcher, who can be found on Facebook and Instagram, finish them. So this is the first one, and I'm going to leave that over here so you can see all 3 together. This is the second one. And there are little charms. So this one has a horse, this one has a house. So I'm not sure if the charms are just for this series or not. And then this one has a little truck on the little charm. So again, these are all from the Farmhouse Christmas. We'll zoom in. I'm gonna put them kind of next to each other and we can zoom in so you can see the detail. On these, again, she stitched on 25 count prim. She used DMC threads and she stitched over 2. So that's similar to what I'm doing. I should have my Farmhouse Christmas finished in 2 to 3 weeks, and I'm hoping to take a photo of the frame with the barn so I can take it to my framer so I can do something similar framing this one. The next items that she also sent to Carolina Stitcher are Priscilla and Chelsea's, and I showed you these last year also. So this is one pattern by Priscilla and Chelsea called Jolly Claus and Merry Mrs. Claus. And this is the same. This is actually 25 count oatmeal, and it's the mottled side of the fabric. But she stitched over 1. So you can see how tiny it is. So these are pretty tiny. Pretty tiny. So these were also stitched by Carolina Stitcher. Finished by Carolina Stitcher, and she used Chelsea's checks on the back. Chelsea's checks fabric. And then Gingham Greetings 1 and 2 is one pattern. And we will be having Jolly Housewives again this year too. So we have a lot of stuff, a lot of fun stuff planned for that. So this is over 1, so super tiny. And when Terri showed me these, I was like, I just don't know how you see those holes. And I think she thought that was funny. So if you have any questions on any of Terri's pieces, let me know, and we can get the answer. This is cording around the edge. And our previous finish feature is where we show you something that one of us has finished in the past. So in 2019, the same year this pattern came out, I finished it. So this is Hands-On Design, Pumpkin Spice Farm. And I started this as part of FQS Stitch Mania in 2019. I had it framed at my framer. and I believe I used the called for DMC, and it took me about 10 hours to complete. I took it to my framer. Now on this one, I stitched this on Witchell Cafe Mocha Country French 14 count. Now when you see a Witchell with the name Country French, it means it's softer. So after I stitched this one, it was so soft and I didn't have the best results. I decided going forward I wouldn't use those. But that's just a personal preference. But I love how it came out. I think it's ready to go home so I can finish my fall decorating, which means actually start it because I keep putting it off. Our flash sale today, I'm afraid it might sell out, is Long May She Wave by Priscilla and Chelsea. So if you weren't able to get this for July 4th, you might want to get it now and then save it up for next year to use in Mania. And then I'm going to answer any questions now, and then I'll show you the What's New section. So CC is asking if I'm subscribed to any cross-stitch magazines. I'm not, but when I first got back into cross-stitching, I did subscribe to a magazine. I think it's called like Cross Stitcher UK. And the reason I subscribed is it had some patterns for pugs, because my dog is a pug. So I did subscribe to that for a while, and I haven't resubscribed. So that's all I was subscribed to. And then I think some of the older ones, they've kind of gone out of business. So I don't know how many are still in business. Helen is asking if on my Stitch-O-Graphy, the section you have left, would you do the ruler first and work up, or do the stapler? So on that one, it's actually Stationery Addict. On that one, I will do the outline of the ruler, and then I will do all the other pieces, and then I will save the inside of the ruler to do when, like I'm picking up a kid, so I don't have to think. And so now I'm going to show all of our What's New section, and there's going to be a lot the next couple of weeks because Needlework Expo just ended. And so I'm going to show you what's new. So I'm sure that there's going to be something in here to appeal to your taste. So Apple Picking and Happy Halloween are both Dapper Doodads. This is by Stitching with the Housewives. These are available as PDFs, and they released last Friday. And in fact, yesterday on social media, I saw somebody had already finished Apple Orchard, which I thought was amazing that they got that done so fast. They had one that released today called Boo Jar. And so if you watch their video on Saturday, they have finished all of their fall tiered tray tidbits and Dapper Doodads, and now they are moving into Halloween designs. So I'll have to find one of these to make, since Kevin loves Halloween, and then I can put it in his office. He usually lets me sneak one or two in there to decorate with. Continuing on with Sampler of the Month, if you were in that club, this shipped to you. This is October. I did check last night on social media just to see if Country Cottage Needleworks had released a sneak peek of November, just to kind of see, and she hadn't. So, because I like to tell you guys when she has. So, this is October. My goal, I have done all the way through August. My goal is to work on September and get September done next week. And then October is going to be part of Stitchtober. So that's my third Stitchtober that you've already seen. And then September Typography is by Pine Mountain Designs. And I have loved these. And I kind of have a plan for them. We'll see if it works out. But I have really loved seeing these. Waxing Moon Designs came out with Christmas Street, and so a lot of her patterns have a trio. So the bonus of her patterns is you get a lot for your money. So there's 3 of these. The Prairie Schooler re-released book 211, which is 1997, 1998, and 2013 Schooler Santas. And so that was re-released last week. Okay, this is the one you guys have been waiting for. This one finally arrived. Let's Talk Stitching is the most requested pattern from Expo. So in that you have both the pattern that's large and a small, and you can make the bag. Now the bag is a pattern that is written by Simple Stitches Fabric Shop. So to make this, you have to buy the quilt pattern. And then for this, what you would do is, I thought it would be here. Is it the bigger one? Do you have the pattern? I'm gonna look at the pattern. Maybe, because I'm not sure where this exact piece is. I'll have to look in the pattern real quick. Let me dig in the pattern. And those are, let's see. Let me look. And I think I want to make this, so the pattern is really nice. It has good instructions. And then I'm looking through. I think you might just move some of the pieces around. Oh, no. Inside here is this little section. So this pattern actually has three. It has this, this, and this. So I will actually stitch this. So I'm going to actually buy this pattern and this pattern, when I looked through it earlier today, it has really good photos. So I'm not great at making bags, but there are photos, and she even shows where you put your pins. So I'm excited that the pattern is very detailed. So I'm going to buy both patterns, and it does look like this is Priscilla. I mean, this looks like it's Bonnie and Camille fabric. So I'll probably try to replicate it as close as possible, and then that looks like it might be a Bella Solid or it might be an Essex linen. So I'll have to figure out what that is, and I'll try to make that. The hands-on design patterns that also came out from Expo are Fright This Way, which is 3 patterns, and then Take Whisks. Now this is called the kitchen counter, and there were 3 patterns in that series, and this is the 3rd one. So if you are somebody who wanted to make all 3, they're all available now. All the colors go together. And Primrose Cottage Stitchers, we have some of her new. This is Pumpkin Patch and Boo Bash. And Dot Dot Goose Designs and Java Girl Stitches are doing a Halloweenish September sew along. I can't think of the exact name of it, but they're featuring a lot of Primrose Cottage stitches. So I placed an order for all of the patterns featured that Java Girl and Denise are stitching, and we will have those in stock probably next week because we paid the invoice yesterday. Luminous Fiber Arts released, I think, 5 patterns. The first one is Gathering Acorns. Jingle Jolly July. I think that one's cute. This is my favorite, even though I don't have a cat. Cat-O-Lantern. Oh wait, this is my favorite. Boo-Hoo. This is so cute. I think Cheryl would probably make one of these. And then Friendship Series, Stashing Squirrels. Tiny Modernist also had a lot of releases. Moths and the Moon. I wasn't sure if this went with like a TV show or what. Maybe y'all could tell me. All the Witches. This one is my favorite. The Nutcracker Tree. That's really cute. And then The Witches Go Riding is a series, and so we have the first 3. They're all sold separately, and the 4th one is not out yet. So you would buy part 1 for the top, part 2 for the middle, and part 3 for the bottom. And then the frog prince came in. That's part of the fairy tale series. The cat came back. I guess the cat escaped. I wonder where he went. And then Mouse's Schoolhouse. And then each year she does do a mystery for Christmas. So this is part 1, and as she releases the remaining parts, we will add those. And I think she might be doing a sew-along on her social media, so you might want to check that out. We got a lot of requests for Erica Michaels, so we ordered all of hers, this Holly Jolly Christmas. Bristol Berries 3. Leafy Sidewalks. Christmas Motif Sampler. The Moon is Full. And Autumn Berries. So you can see these two are part of the little biscorny, or whatever you call those little things. And then the Thistles has Broom Keeps, Needlework Village, Give Thanks, and 12 Weeks to Christmas. And the way this pattern works is each of them have a slightly different stitch count, but you use the same template to create the ornament. So on our website, we just kind of listed the size of the ornament instead of every single stitch count. Count Your Stitches by Katie Nolan. She is a new designer, and we have this as paper and PDF. We got requests for this one, so I don't think this one is new, or actually it is new. Honest Abe sampler. This one arrived yesterday. And then the Blue Flower. Gather with Joy. Harvest Magic. And Moonlight Sampler. October House has Friendly Blooms. And by Lindy Stitches is Susie Sue Sample Maker. And then Heart in Hand. These are actually some of my favorites. So all of the doodles that she has come out with, I love. And I'm thinking next year I'm going to add to my lineup that I will stitch these by season for the doodles. So I might have to just order all of those today and kind of plan them for next year because I love her stuff. Square Dance 3. We Santa 2021. So each year she has a Santa that comes out and they sell really, really good. And I'm thinking this one will sell because it's kind of like a quilted dress. When I looked at it, that's kind of what I thought. And then this is a pocket round. And we also sell the round bowl. But if you go to the Heart in Hand website, she has a free tutorial on there of how you finish any of her rounds to put it on the actual piece. And I can't show you the back because it has the pattern, but right here is a button. So it's the little buttons for right here. Hello from Liz Matthews. First Day of Christmas Sampler and Tree. So you can finish it as this or as this. Bittersweet Village. And I saw she was actually working on this one yesterday on her social media. So this is After the Rain. Token of Fall. And Two Pumpkins Bright. This one is so cute. I don't know. Maybe I need to get a cat because I seem to love all these cat patterns. This is called Meow at the Moon, and it's by Sweet Wing Studio. Wouldn't that be cute if it was Piggy? See, we just need a little piggy. And then the Mindful Needle is Boo and Hocus Pocus. And then Alphabet and My Dear by Blends to Work Revisited. These are actually designs that were older that were requested. This one's pretty cool. And then these are always fun. These are JBW designs, and these, I was going to just tell you that if you ever go to Shepherd's Bush in Utah, they have all of the JBW designs on display, and they look really beautiful. So this is Alphabet in the Round. They have a lot of in the rounds, like a Christmas one, a fall one. So this is Alphabet. This is a Christmas small. Mary, or Be Merry. French Christmas tags too. And then my favorite is Dashing Through the Snow. So we'll kind of zoom in to see that. That is stitched on the white petty point fabric that comes in like 18 count. So all of her stuff is designed for really tiny fabric, but it would look great on like a 14 count. So eventually I would like to add some of her designs into my rotation. The next ones Cheryl actually requested. These are Lucy Beam designs, and she Disturbed Women, and then I Will Find You. And then we have From the Heart. We have Berry Blossom. Spooky Quaker. This one is really awesome. I think Cheryl might stitch that one. And I'm just guessing. I'm not committing her to anything. Quaker Blooms. I always like to guess what people are going to do. And Hannah's Christmas. And then we have Pig Feed Sack, and we have several of these, and they have sold all really, really well. If you just search Feed Sack Carriage House Samplings, you will see them all. And so now what I'm going to do is go ahead and end, but what I'm going to do is ask for all of you guys to please comment in the comment box below and let me know what was your favorite thing I stitched this week, and what is your favorite What's New item. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye!